Page 23, Scaling the Wall. And in the previous page they talk about the C major scale and the G major scale. They're doing it with what they call tetrachord. Tetra meaning four. Tetrachord is 4 notes. Tetrachord, 1 note at a time, right? So for instance, in Scaling the Wall, you got the first 4 notes of the scale here, and the other 4 notes of the scale here. And that takes you from C to C. All the notes in between, that's the scale. That is a way of handling scales. Not the preferred method, but it is a way to introduce you to them. I wish John Thompson would have just introduced us to the correct scales and fingering and the whole bit right off the start, because this was how I learned scales originally, and I always hated scales until I got into college, and then I understood, oh, this is what it's about, and I learned scales really well. And then I'm thinking, why didn't I learn this back when I was little? You know, so this is one thing. John Thompson, I really wished you'd do this different. Scales. However, this is the way they approach scales, so this is how we're going to do it for this book. Ascending means going up. Descending means going down, all right? Simply going to go up the scale. So if you look at the first measure of this, you have the left hand, left hand. Those are the notes it goes on, it tells you, and then the right hand on the next measure. And while we're at it, I will point out briefly to you that on the first measure, in the right hand, you have that little square. That is a whole rest, right? Just so you know, it's a whole rest. It's a rest. It's like a whole note, except it's a rest. Instead of playing a note for 4 counts, you be silent for 4 counts. It's telling you the right hand has to be quiet for 4 counts. In the second measure, the left hand has to be quiet for 4 counts. That's all it is. You start this piece with this hand position, right? That's what they tell you to do. Then in the second line, look what they do. They move you. You got to go down an octave. You go down to this position. Whoa. And play the last, the second line here. You get 1 beat rest to do that, so you got to know where you're going to go. You're here. You got 1 beat to go from here to here. You may have to practice that. That's fine. We practice moving our hands if we have to. That's all right. You do that. Hopefully you know in the written music you know what these notes are. If you don't, learn the notes. Take the time to learn them. Now take a look at the end of the first line on there. In the left hand, you see the bass clef there at the end of that? They do that because they're telling you what's coming up. In other words, you started the left hand with treble clef, right? Now they're telling you, okay, we're switching to bass clef here. And then in the second line, the first measure, in the right hand, there's another bass clef there. They're telling you, for the right hand, we're also switching you to bass clef, okay? The clef signs, treble and bass clef, they can switch for either hand on either staff at any time. You don't know, you just take them as they come. There's no rule, it has to be so and so, right? You could have treble clef on the bottom and bass on top. Probably wouldn't, but in theory you could. There's no rule. They can change any time. And they can change multiple times in a piece. You just don't know, just so you're aware of that. Let's do this Scaling the Wall, all right? They're telling you where to put the hands. They're showing you a chart at the top of the page. So 4/4 time, so I'll give you 4 counts, and we'll play it together slowly. It says, put your hands where they go. There we go. 1, 2, ready, go.